This is an urgent appeal from the Disasters Emergency Committee. Hundreds of thousands of people have fled their homes to escape conflict in Ukraine, leaving jobs, belongings and loved ones behind. They need shelter, food and water. You can help. To donate online, search DEC or text radio to 70150 to give £10. Thank you.
Streaming 24/7, this is Brum Radio.
Thank you for downloading this Brum Radio podcast. For more podcasts, visit brumradio.com.
I'm Dave Massey. I'm joined on the telephone by Jac Yarrow, who is playing Joseph in Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. This production is in Birmingham from today as we broadcast this, which is the 5th of April, and runs until the 16th of April. It features Alexandra Burke, and it also features a previous Joseph, Jason Donovan, as the Pharaoh, and it's directed by Lawrence Connor. Jac, how are you doing?
I'm great, thank you. I'm really chuffed to be back in Birmingham.
Absolutely. You did a whole Christmas in Birmingham, and as we just mentioned, you were the prince in Snow White. What's it like being back in the city, do you think? Have you been back since you did that Christmas?
I have. I went back to watch the pantomime this year. I went to watch Goldilocks.
Oh, yes.
Just to see Matt Black and Jill George, Doreen and all the friends that I made there, Andrew Ryan. Because the pantos in Birmingham they're so brilliant. I had such an amazing time there in 2019. But I'm so excited, and we're back at the Hippodrome too, which is where we did the panto.
Yes.
The theatre, and it's just beautiful, and the audiences in Birmingham are amazing. I'm like I said, I'm just so chuffed to be back.
And which theatre are you in at the moment?
So at the moment we're in the Manchester Opera House.
Yes. And what's that like in there? Is that a huge theatre as well? I think they're quite big.
Yes, it's huge. We had our first show last night, and the audiences they're just wild. It's the best. But yeah, the theatre in Manchester is beautiful.
I first saw Joseph at the Birmingham Hippodrome when I was 10, which was rather a long time ago, and it wasn't the version that we now know as being the West End version. It was the previous sort of editions of it. When you're seeing this staged, and you sort of see the staging, what can the audience expect from the show, and what can they expect from you?
Well, they can certainly expect all of the glitz and the glamour and the huge sets and beautiful costumes that everybody got at the Palladium in the West End. In 2019 and then again in 2021. It's just a completely reinvented version of Joseph. We've got an amazing design by Morgan Large. It's just beautiful. I mean, it's not like a Joseph anyone's seen before, and it's been exquisitely produced by Michael Harrison, who has overseen everything in the most incredible way. I mean, we're travelling with a 10-piece orchestra, which for a UK tour is kind of unheard of. And then, of course, we've got the fabulous Alexandra Burke, the amazing Jason Donovan, and it's just the most perfect cast. It's brilliant. That's what people can expect.
What's it like to have the luxury of having a previous Joseph around with you?
It's great. I mean, not because he gives me advice or anything like that, because he was so good from the start of rehearsal with kind of not bombarding me with advice or telling me how to do things, or because we wanted to make it very much my own. But what he has done is just been the most amazing support for me from day one, and been so encouraging, and he's just the nicest man on the planet, and we have such a laugh together. He's really one of those people where if you're in a long-running show and you need to keep it fun and keep it fresh every day, he is the person to have around, because he's just the biggest joker. He's the best. He's really, really great.
What's it like seeing your name on the top line above where it says Joseph?
Oh, it's cool. It's really, I mean, that's the kind of thing that never really wears off. I remember when I got the role in 2019, I was still at college. I left college early to start rehearsal for it. And that was one of the things, seeing my name on the poster next to, at the time it was Sheridan Smith and Jason Donovan, seeing my name on the poster with them, it's just the biggest honour in the world. And it's such an iconic show and an iconic role. I just feel so fortunate to have been given that opportunity,
And did you know the production before you took the role on? Was it? Did you know the songs at all?
I did. I absolutely did. I'd never been in it, and I'd never seen it. But I'd seen the DVD, the Donny Osmond DVD, and I feel like it's such a quintessential British musical. It's Andrew Lloyd Webber at his finest. It's just kind of one of those shows that, whether you know it or not, you know it. It's kind of ingrained in our DNA as British people. You grow up listening to Any Dream Will Do, and, you know, singing it at school, or, you know, it's wild. We see people at stage door every day, and everyone has their own story of how they know Joseph, or how Joseph has affected their life in some way. It's really, I think that's really why it's stood the test of time. It's been a successful musical for 50 years now, and that is why, because it really resonates with everybody on a kind of childhood, deep level.
Have you got a favourite song that you can watch from the wings during this show? Because you're on stage for quite a lot of the production time.
Yeah, well, I'm off stage for One More Angel in Heaven, which is kind of the way we do it in this show. They do a big kind of hoedown, and everyone's got their cowboy boots on, and it's amazing what they do. And our choreographer, Joanne Hunter, has done an incredible job with bringing the choreography of this show up to date. So I like to stand in the wings right before I make my entrance with a big camel and watch One More Angel in Heaven, because also our ensemble of dancers are just phenomenal. So I really love watching them do their thing.
It does. The production does pay homage to lots of different styles of music as well.
Yeah.
Do you find that do you find that some appeal more than others to yourself, or what's your sort of favourite styles of music that are in there?
Ooh, well, my favourite song to sing is "Close Every Door," purely because it's just a big, you know, belty end of Act 1 musical theatre number, and for me to sing that is the most enjoyable. But to listen to, I mean, I do, like you say, I love that there's such an eclectic mix of music in this show. We go from cowboy music into cowboy music, listen to me, country music, into we have like a French section that leads into a can-can, and we have Jason's number as the Pharaoh, which is kind of a blues rock and roll-y number, and I love it all. And I think that's what keeps the show fresh as it moves along. There's never a dull moment, and the audience never knows what to expect, particularly in the way that this production has been staged and put together. It's completely different to what anyone has seen before. It's really exciting.
Can you hear the audience singing along sometimes?
Oh, big time. We had it yesterday. You know, they love it. They love it. Particularly Saturday nights, we've got a couple of, you know, hen parties in or whatever it is. And we encourage it. We love that. But it's just part and parcel of what I was saying earlier about how the show is ingrained in people from such a young age, because I've almost heard people sing along with it and then put their hand over their mouth and laugh at themselves singing along with it, because it just comes out because it's so ingrained in everyone. It's just such an instinctual thing to do. So we do encourage that. We love it.
When there was the break that we had in theatre, and it was a real extended break that seemed to last for 18 months, what were you getting to do with your time at that point? What sort of things were you able to do?
I mean, now it seems like a big blur into one kind of... I was doing a lot of walking, I was doing a lot of, you know, just trying to fill my days, exercising, and I mean, I was lucky enough to land a TV job filming in Spain, so I flew out to Spain for a month or two to film over there, which was, you know, I was so lucky to get that, because there were so many people trying to get something, and there was just nothing happening, but the timing of that just really worked out, and it was sheer luck that came about. So I got to spend a little bit of time working, but I was one of the fortunate ones, because I knew that Joseph was coming back and I had something to look forward to, whereas so many of my friends and peers in this industry had nothing to go to and still don't. They're still trying to get back on their feet, you know. It was a really, really scary time for everybody.
And I would you have had that opportunity to go and film if you'd been back in theatre normally? Is that something you'd...
I wouldn't have, because it was right in the summer when we would have been doing Joseph again. So we were supposed to do it in 2020 in summer, and that was when I ended up filming, and we pushed Joseph back to 2021. There's nothing like being on stage, and there's nothing like live theatre, and I'd take that any day over.
Oh, absolutely.
That's what so much when we were away. It was just that connection with an audience. You can't beat it.
And have you met Sir Andrew Lloyd Webber through this process?
Yes, I have. I've met him a couple of times. He wasn't in any of my auditions. Thank the Lord. I think I would have been absolutely terrified. But they did have to film my auditions and send it to him because he was in New York at the time.
Wow.
But yeah, I've been lucky enough to meet him a couple of times, and again, just very, very, very supportive. And, you know, very protective of his work, and rightly so, because Joseph is so iconic. and it's written so perfectly. He was hands-on, especially in the first year we did, 2019. He was very hands-on with the production, coming in and, you know, listening to it and having a look and making sure that we were paying homage to Joseph in the right way whilst also still trying to reinvent the wheel. And he was amazing. And I know he really likes this production of Joseph, which is why he wanted to bring it back to the Palladium. And now, obviously, we're taking it on tour. And it's just lovely to know that we've all worked hard with Andrew to put this particular production together to really celebrate Joseph and celebrate it in a more contemporary way.
Yes, and I think that's I find it a really wonderful uplifting production that people sort of they leave with huge smiles on their faces. They feel like they've been to real theatre and they've seen a real musical. It always is really wonderfully encouraging for people to come and do that as well. I'm really thrilled for you that you're going to be back at Birmingham for these 2 weeks to be doing this. I'm sure it must feel like a bit of a homecoming in some respects from you know, being there for the 6 weeks for the Panto as well. Do you think you'll be directing people around the Birmingham Hippodrome campus?
I think they'll have to be directing me. I've completely forgotten. It's like a maze anyway.
It is a maze.
Theatre backstage is an absolute maze. So I think I'll need to be reacquainted with it when I get there. But no, like you said, I'm so excited to get back to Birmingham, and it does feel like a bit of a homecoming because I mean that was the last show I did before the pandemic.
Yes.
And it was during that time that we were seeing things on the news about coronavirus, and we didn't know what it was or how it was going to affect us, and so it will be lovely to get back to the Hippodrome, and maybe that's when I'll feel like, you know what, we are coming out of the woods, and everything is fine, and theatre's back and bigger than ever.
As I say, it's so exciting that this production's coming to Birmingham. You can see Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat at the Birmingham Hippodrome on that huge stage from today, which is the 5th of April, until Saturday the 16th of April. Check out birminghamhippodrome.com, and you can also look for future dates at josephthemusical.com if you just click UK tour on there, and it's got dates currently going up until the end of October. Jack, thank you so much for taking the time to chat to us about this today.
No, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to get back to Birmingham.
Thank you for listening to this Brum Radio podcast. Don't forget to subscribe and rate us on your podcast app.